The deep space research vessel Odyssey drifted silently through the void, its massive statues of human warriors, their faces carved in stone, their weapons raised in victory. Below the statues, a single phrase was etched in bold letters. "We ruled this galaxy once, we will rule it again." Elias felt his heartbeat quicken. This was no ordinary lost colony. This was something far bigger, something forgotten. And something was watching them from the shadows. The ruins were silent, but Elias could feel something lurking in the darkness. The team's flashlights cast long shadows across the broken structures, making everything feel even more eerie. The words carved into the stone, "We ruled this galaxy once, we will rule it again," echoed in his mind. "This place is ancient," Mara whispered, running her hand over the carvings. "But this writing, it's modern English. How is that possible?" Elias didn't answer. He was staring at something ahead, a large entrance like the mouth of a giant beast, leading underground. The door was made of dark metal, still intact despite the centuries. It had no rust, no signs of decay. "Captain," Lieutenant Darius Kane said, his voice tense. "I don't like this. Something about this place feels wrong." Elias nodded. "Stay alert. We're going in." The door slid open with a deep mechanical groan. A long hallway stretched into the darkness, lined with strange machinery. The walls hummed faintly, as if the place wasn't entirely dead. Mara tapped her scanner. "Captain, there's power running through this place. Weak, but it's there." The deeper they went, the stronger the hum became. It wasn't just energy, it felt like something waking up. Then they saw it. A massive chamber, filled with strange pods, each large enough to hold a person. The pods were covered in frost, their glass panels fogged from the inside. One of them suddenly hissed, releasing a cloud of cold mist. Everyone stepped back, weapons raised. A figure inside the pod twitched. Then slowly, the glass slid open. A man stepped out. He looked human, but there was something different about him. His muscles were dense, his eyes sharp like a predator's. His skin was marked with symbols similar to those on the statues outside. He took a deep breath, stretching his limbs, then turned his piercing gaze toward the team. Elias tightened his grip on his weapon. "Who are you?" The man studied them for a long moment before speaking. His voice was calm, yet carried a strange authority. "I am General Cal of the First Human Empire," he said. "And I ask you, who are you?" Silence filled the chamber. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Mara's voice was barely above a whisper. "Captain, I think we just woke up the past." Cal's eyes darkened as he stepped forward. "Tell me, is humanity still the apex predator of this galaxy?" Captain Elias Carter's heart pounded as General Cal's piercing gaze locked onto him. The man stood tall, his body radiating strength and confidence. There was something ancient about him, something powerful. Elias swallowed hard. "General Cal, you say you're from the First Human Empire. What does that mean?" Cal studied them in silence before stepping past his pod. He looked at the rows of other frozen warriors, still in their deep slumber. "How long has it been?" He'd asked, his voice calm but firm. Mara hesitated before checking her scanner. This facility is over 300,000 years old. The words hung in the air like a storm about to break. Cal's jaw tightened. So it really happened, he muttered. The war, the fall. Elias exchanged looks with his crew. What war? Cal turned, his expression unreadable. The war that almost wiped out the entire galaxy, he said. The war that humanity won. Silence. Cal walked toward a large console at the center of the chamber. He placed his hand on it, and the machinery came to life, glowing with a dull red light. The room trembled as massive holographic displays flickered on, showing images of planets burning, starships clashing, and monstrous alien creatures being torn apart by human forces. "We're not always alone," Cal said, his voice filled with something between pride and sorrow. Long ago, the galaxy was ruled by many great species. Some were peaceful, some were predators. And then there was us. The images shifted. Human warriors, larger, stronger, faster than any modern human, battled against towering alien beasts. Armies of cybernetic soldiers, enhanced beyond natural limits, crushed entire civilizations. Humanity wasn't just surviving, they were conquering. Mara's voice trembled. "We ruled the galaxy?" Cal nodded. "We didn't start as rulers, we started as prey." His eyes darkened. "But we refused to stay that way. We evolved. We fought. We won." Elias felt his throat go dry. "If we were so powerful, what happened?" Cal clenched his fists. "We became too strong, too feared. The other species, what was left of them, united against us. The war lasted for millennia. In the end, we had only one option." The hologram shifted again, showing a final desperate act, a massive exodus. Human forces retreating, abandoning their conquered worlds, their once mighty empire collapsing. "We erased ourselves," Cal said. "We hid. We went to sleep, waiting for a time when we could rise again." He looked at Elias and his crew. "But now, I see we were forgotten." Elias felt a deep chill. This was bigger than anything they had ever discovered. If what Cal said was true, then humanity's past wasn't just lost, it was buried. And something told Elias a section of the galaxy marked with red symbols. The room grew colder. "The Xelori," Cal said. His voice held a dangerous edge. "The ones who nearly wiped us out." The map zoomed in on a cluster of dark, ruined planets. Twisted ships, unlike anything Elias had ever seen, hovered above them. The sight sent a shiver down his spine. "They called themselves gods," Cal continued. "They manipulated lesser species, twisting them into their servants. They feared humanity more than anything else, so they united the galaxy against us. In the end, even after we retreated, we knew they wouldn't stop hunting us." Elias studied the hologram. If they were so powerful, why didn't they destroy Earth? Cal's jaw tightened. "They tried. Mara gasped. Tried? Cal muttered. They launched a final attack against Earth, centuries after we fell asleep. We left defenses behind, remnants of our war machines. His expression darkened, but we don't know if it was enough. Elias's heart pounded. You mean, you don't know if Earth is still there? Cal didn't answer. He didn't have to. The weight of it all crashed down on Elias. If the Xilari was still out there, if they had spent hundreds of thousands of years growing stronger, then humanity was in danger, and they didn't even know it. Suddenly, Mara's scanner beeped wildly. She looked down, her face going pale. Captain, something's coming. Elias snapped his head up. What? Before she could answer, the ground shook violently. A deep mechanical howl echoed through the ruins. Then, from the darkness outside, massive figures emerged. Tall, spindly creatures with obsidian armor and glowing red eyes. Their elongated limbs ended in sharp claws. Their mouths twisted into grotesque grins, revealing rows of needle-like teeth. Cal's face darkened. Xilari scouts. Elias's blood turned to ice. If the Xilari were already here, that meant they had never stopped watching. Humanity hadn't just uncovered its past. It had awakened an ancient war. The air grew heavy as the Xilari scouts stepped forward, their crimson eyes glowing in the darkness. Their bodies were thin but unnaturally tall, their movements fluid yet predatory. Razor-sharp claws flexed at their sides, and their chests vibrated with an eerie clicking sound, a language not meant for human ears. Captain Elias Carter instinctively raised his weapon. His crew followed suit, but he could see the fear in their eyes. The Xilari were not just another alien species, they were hunters. General Kale and his awakened warriors, however, showed no fear. Instead, Cole took a slow, measured step forward, his expression calm, almost amused. Their mistake, he said, cracking his knuckles, was letting me wake up. Without warning, the first Xilari lunged. Cal moved like lightning. His fist shot forward, smashing into the creature's chest. A sickening crack echoed through the ruins as the alien's body folded inward, its exoskeleton shattering like glass. It collapsed in a heap, twitching violently before going still. The other Xilari hesitated. For the first time, they felt fear. Kill them all, Cal ordered. His warriors didn't need to be told twice. The room exploded into chaos. The enhanced humans surged forward, meeting the Xilari in brutal close combat. Unlike Elias and his crew, who relied on weapons, Cole's soldiers fought with their bare hands. They moved with terrifying speed and strength, tearing through the enemy like they had done it 1,000 times before. Elias fired at Xilari trying to flank them, his pulse rifle sending a burst of plasma into its chest. The creature screeched and collapsed, but more were coming. We need to fall back, Mara shouted. Cal turned, his face unreadable. Run if you want, he said. We are not leaving. Elias clenched his jaw. We're not just going to stand here and die. Cal smirked. We don't die. Xilari leaped at him. He caught it midair, gripping its throat in one hand. The creature screeched and clawed at him, but Cal didn't even flinch. With a sharp twist, he snapped its neck and tossed the corpse aside. The Xilari realized they were losing. For the first time in thousands of years, they had encountered a force more powerful than themselves. And they ran. The surviving scouts disappeared into the ruins, vanishing into the shadows as quickly as they had appeared. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, Cal turned to Elias. They will be back, he said, and next time, they won't come alone. Elias exhaled shakily. His hands were still trembling. This wasn't just some old war buried in the past. It was still alive. What do we do now? Mara asked. Cal looked up at the dark sky, his expression grim. We remind the galaxy why it used to fear us. Elias swallowed hard. He had the sinking feeling that humanity's peaceful age was about to end, and the war for survival was just beginning. The wind howled through the ruins, carrying the distant echoes of the retreating Xilari scouts. The battle was over, for now, but Captain Elias Carter knew this was only the beginning. His crew stood frozen, still processing what had just happened. The Xilari had attacked them like predators claiming their territory, but they had been forced to retreat. That was something no human had ever witnessed. Cal and his warriors, however, showed no signs of relief. They were already moving, retrieving weapons from hidden compartments in the ancient walls. Blades forged from black metal, energy rifles unlike anything Elias had seen before, and sleek armor And yet, as he looked at Kel, at his soldiers, at the ancient ships waiting in the darkness, something inside him stirred. Maybe the first human empire wasn't dead. Maybe it was waiting to rise again. Kel placed a hand on the cold metal of the nearest ship. "We were humanity's last warriors," he said. "But you will be its first." Elias took a deep breath. The war for the galaxy was about to begin. The hangar trembled as ancient engines roared to life. Dust and debris blew across the chamber as the warships, dormant for hundreds of thousands of years, powered up once more. The cold blue glow of their reactor cores illuminated the darkness, casting long shadows over the assembled warriors of the first human empire. Captain Elias Carter stood on the command deck of one of the massive ships, staring at the vast control panels. Every system was still functional, waiting for a commander. But this wasn't just a ship. It was a weapon, a relic of humanity's forgotten dominance. And now it was awake again. General Kale stood beside him, his expression unreadable. "This is your chance, Captain," he said. "Your chance to prove that humanity still remembers how to fight." Elias exhaled, gripping the command console. To even stand a chance, the Xelaria had millennia to grow stronger. Cal smirked. "So have we?" The return of an ancient enemy. Mara's voice crackled through the ship's comms. "Captain, we have incoming signals." Elias's heart pounded. "Xelari?" "More than just scouts," Mara said, her voice tight. "It's a full fleet. Hundreds of ships." The tension in the hangar thickened. Cal's warriors exchanged knowing glances, not fear, but anticipation. "They're coming to finish what they started," Cal said. "Good?" Elias clenched his jaw. This was no longer about survival. This was about revenge. The battle begins. The ancient warships lifted off, their engines burning bright as they surged into space. From the surface of the dead planet, the Xelari fleet appeared, a monstrous swarm of organic ships, their surfaces pulsing with eerie, bioluminescent patterns. A deep, bone-chilling sound echoed through the comms. A voice, distorted and alien, slithered into their ears. "We see you, remnants of the old empire." Cal's eyes burned with fury. "Then watch us burn your kind from the stars." The battle erupted in a storm of fire and destruction. Cal's warriors were unlike anything the modern Xelari had ever faced. They moved with impossible speed, piloting their warships with an almost instinctive precision. Plasma cannons lit up the void, tearing through enemy vessels. The once dominant Xelari found themselves struggling against an enemy they thought was long dead. Elias's hands flew over the controls, commanding his ship through impossible maneuvers. Mara relayed targeting data, coordinating their assault with Cal's fleet. A Xelari dreadnought loomed ahead, its massive spiked hull bristling with weapons. It fired, sending a wave of energy toward them. Elias barely managed to evade, a blast skimming past them and obliterating a nearby asteroid. "We can't take a direct hit from that thing," Mara shouted. Cal's voice cut through the chaos. "We won't have to." The first human empire's flagship powered forward, its main cannon charging with a blinding glow. A single shot ripped through the dreadnought's core, and the Xelari warship erupted in a fiery explosion. The tide was turning. The end, or the beginning. As the last Xelari ships retreated, Elias felt a strange mix of relief and uncertainty. They had won the battle, but the war was far from over. Cal stepped forward, watching the burning wreckage drift through space. "This was only the beginning," he said. "The Xelari now know that humanity has returned." Elias turned to him. "What happens now?" Cal's smirk was almost predatory. "Now, we take back what was ours." As the fleet regrouped, a signal came through, one from deep within human space. It was a message from Earth, and it simply said, "We received your distress call. Reinforcements are on the way." Elias's heart pounded. If Earth still remembered how to fight, then maybe, just maybe, the galaxy hadn't seen true humanity yet. The war was far from over. It was only just beginning.